And welcome back. Today I want to take a quick look at the New Year sale, and you might see that it's only 25% discount and you actually have to select 2 packs if you want a 50%. So what I recommend you to do is to get one of these packs that you actually want and then get this one together with it if you don't have it already. It says 11.24 right now, but if you select it with any of these other packs, you're actually going to get a 50% discount on both. I do think it's a bit scummy. They're definitely trying to get you to buy more packs, to spend more money basically, to get your 50% discount, which I think is not really, well, I don't really have to explain that one. I think it's kind of scummy, but you know, we'll have to do with what we are given this time around. We have already gotten a 50% discount sale quite recently, so I think most of you already should have what you want to have. Before we get started, thank you to all my YouTube members and my Patreons, and if you're looking to buy anything, you can do it with my link down below. You get a 3% discount on the things that aren't already discounted, and of course you get my decal and I get a cut, so we all win a little bit. So let's get started. The Japanese Pacific pack campaign is actually pretty good. The A6M5 Co, it's a rank 4 premium for only 750, which is definitely worth it. The issue is that a lot of you guys have probably already bought this because it's so damn cheap, and then you can't really use it to get a cheaper bundle somewhere else. So we're gonna see if we can select something else later on that we can get the 50% discount with. But most of these vehicles I don't think are that great. The Dora D13, it's a pretty good plane. It doesn't turn very well, and it's definitely 95% usable in Araby. At 5.0 it's a very solid plane. You have a good roll rate, not the best turn, a decent climb rate, good guns, and of course you get the pack for about 15 bucks if you do get the total discount. And I'm gonna say in advance, if you're only gonna buy one pack here, I don't think it's worth it. I don't think it's worth to get a 25% off to buy any of these packs. But you know, it's your money, you'll have to see what you do with it. The Mustang D20, I think it's very bad. It doesn't climb very well. It doesn't go that fast. Well, it goes fast, but it takes forever to get up to that speed. It's not able to sustain fight with anything because it loses so much speed because it doesn't have the engine to keep up with it. It's kind of like the D5, and if you have flown it, a lot of you guys will know that it's not the best fighter out there. The King Tiger, solid tank, not much to say here, same with the T29. The Wyvern, I think it's a great grinder. Rank 4, it's stupid fast. It goes about 650 kilometers an hour on the deck. You get an airspan and you have 1200 rounds of Hispano Mark V. Very solid plane to grind. You can fly it as a fighter as well as a ground attacker. It kind of depends on what you want to do. I made a few videos on this thing. They are all still relevant today. The IS-6, I mean, it's basically a medium tank with a shitload of armor and a very big gun. 10-second, not really autoloader, I think. It doesn't have an autoloader, I don't know. I just know that it reloads pretty quickly. I'm not too well versed in tanks, but I do know that this thing is pretty damn good. Object 120, it's a little bit of a sniper tank. You can just sit back. Yeah, it has an absolutely ridiculous gun, but it doesn't have any survivability. It's a good pickup, but it has to fit your playstyle. The AVRE, it's a bit of a meme. It does work quite well, but it's a little bit of a derp tank. But when you hit people, they just instantly blow up. So, I mean, do you like the meme? I think it's a decent tank. I've heard a lot of people say it's pretty good, but don't expect it to be a meta vehicle. It's definitely good, but it's definitely a bit niche. XM1 here, I think it's a bit of a go-kart, very high mobility, decent okay gun. Right now the Matchmaker, I'm not too sure how that fits in. I wouldn't pick it up myself. I don't think it's a very noob-friendly vehicle because it's very dependent on your positioning as well as your maneuvering around the map, and that's something that you're probably not very familiar with because it's a very unforgiving tank other than the mobility. So if you are experienced, it's pretty decent. Otherwise the XL1 I don't think is the best pickup. The Leopard is the L44, very good gun, decent mobility, and it's a Leopard. We all know how the Leopards are. They're pretty good, but I think there are better picks for Germany, but we'll get to that in a second. T55 AM1, very good tank, one of the best premiums that you can actually pick up. Very well rounded, very survivable, and a very decent gun indeed. Type 74, I don't think it's that great, but for Japan, I think it works quite well, because there's really not much else there to use. And then we have the Leopard. We all know the Leopard's pretty good mobility, pretty damn good gun. The survivability isn't too great, and the Matchmaker can be a bit of a dick in the ass, but it's a solid tank, and if you are looking to grind Germany, it is not a bad pickup at all. The T55, it's one of the best tanks that you can get. 8.3. Very forgiving matchmaker, very well-rounded ammo selection, and the survivability is actually pretty strong. So all in all, you can't really go wrong with this thing. It's very brain dead to play. The Type 74, it's definitely a tank. It's pretty good. It's not the best tank altogether, but it's the best Type 74 that we have in the game. The only risk here is that you might run into some 10.0 matches where this thing, it kind of becomes useless. Then we have the AMAX 30 Super. It's the best AMAX 30 in the game. Very cool. Very solid vehicle, similar to the Leopard 1A5, which is a tank that you should be familiar with. It's a decently maneuverable tank with a pretty good gun. All in all, pretty solid pickup. The Black Shark, I mean, if you're looking to grind helicopters, this is probably the best premium that you can get. The Prince Eugene, I have no idea. I can't comment on both. Someone in the comments will definitely let you know. The CV9105. It was pretty overpowered. Right now, it's okay. It's definitely not a pickup that I would recommend if you're very new to the game, which is the same as with the Roycat 105. Both these tanks are pretty solid, but you do have to play them right because they are not exactly forgiving. The Soma SM. This is one of the best tanks that you can get right now on the sale. It's extremely good. 4-second, 5-second autoloader. Very good shells as well. The survivability isn't the greatest, but it definitely has some armor in the spots that actually matters. This thing, the IP38, it's okay. It's a P38G basically with a 37mm. It's very annoying to aim. P38s are annoying to aim from the get-go, and the 37mm is definitely not going to help you out in that regard. For this price, it's a pretty decent pickup. It's a pretty decent pickup, but I wouldn't really recommend it. If you haven't bought any of this one yet, and you need a very cheap pack to get your 50% in, then I would recommend this one. But altogether, I would say skip this. It's not the best. It's a bit of a gimmick mobile. And then we have the T72 Terms. And it's a very under tier tank. It's a very good tank. The issue is that, well, you get one shot very easily because of the lower plate as well as the turret ring. Side armor is basically non-existent. It's a very good tank, but it's a bit of a glue-eating machine. Great gun, great thermals, good armor, favorable BR, all around a very solid premium. It has the same issues as the other T72s, and that's the armor is basically only good at the front, but you know, the lower plate is still a bit of a weak spot. The AV8 Harrier, it's pretty solid. It's a very good grinder. You can just rush in, climb over the enemy, and start raining down AIM-9Gs, and then you still have a lot of flares, a lot of aidants, a lot of ammo. It's not the best in terms of fighting, and I do recommend you to get the F5C over it, but we'll get to that in a second. The SU-7 BMK, it's a bomb sled. There's really not much to say there. If you want very easy and quick RP, it's a good pickup. It's an insanely good plane for what it is. Just don't expect it to be too great as a fighter, because you will be running into, well, all aspect missiles quite often, which will definitely ruin your day. F5C, now with the new matchmaker at 11.7, this is actually pretty damn solid. It already was, but you're gonna see much less full up tiers now, and you will find yourself to be down tier to 9.7 extremely often, which is, I think, a bit bullshit, but right now it's prime time F5C time. I have a few videos on this thing. They're all still relevant. The same goes for these two, actually. But I fly it as a fighter, of course, because that's what we do here. The A5C, one of the most brain-dead grinders in the game. You simply climb straight in, you fly over people. You use your absolute nuts thrust to just rain down magics. You're probably going to get 2 kills on people that aren't even seeing you. And I mean, hey, if that's your cup of tea, be my guest. It's a very solid plane. Probably one of the best grinders that you can find, because it's super consistent because of the playstyle that it has. It's very easy to get rewards in it, because you can do basically the same thing every damn match, and you're going to get something out of it. Then we get the Draken. It's a J35A, which I think is not exactly worth it. What I would do is wait for the J35XS to go on sale. I wouldn't get it right now. I don't think it's worth it. Right now, Sweden doesn't really have anything anyway, so I would say skip this for now. This thing, against all aspect missiles, is an absolute L-mobile, and I don't really recommend it. But hey, if it's your cup of tea, be my guest. It's just, it doesn't favor its playstyle. You need to get kills very quickly. This thing isn't very good at that. T1, well, it's a ground pounder. I'm not going to cover too much on it. Is it good? I actually have no idea. I just know that it's bad as a fighter, but that kind of goes without saying. The Spitfire, it's actually pretty solid. It's one of the best props that you can buy for the Israeli factory, which makes sense because it's the only one you can buy. I wouldn't get it. I would say just get this thing instead. But this is also not that good. The issue with Israel is they don't have many good premiums. The Kefir Kanat is okay, but again, it's not on sale yet. Luckily for you that, well, Israel doesn't really have anything that you want to get right now anyway. The MiG-21 SPSK, I don't think it's very good. I would say get the MiG-21 BIS on sale once it goes on sale. It's okay, you can climb in. You can shoot your missiles down, and it's basically the same against the A5C, except the climb rate is worse. It loses all of its speed in a singular turn. And you only have R60s, as well as the fact that you have to choose between flares and a gun, which is, I think, a horrible thing to choose between, because I will take the gun every time, except, well, then you have to deal with A10s and SU-25s just shooting you in the head on. Not exactly enjoyable, but hey, if you like it, be my guest. I'm just gonna keep saying that. The M51 here, it's pretty good. The thing is that this thing, if you are gonna buy it on the 50% off, it's only $5 more. It's a much higher rank. It's rank 6 over rank 4, and you're only paying $5 extra, which is pretty solid. It's a solid tank, but the shell is a bit bipolar, and it definitely kind of decides sometimes to just not do damage. So if you're looking for one of the Israeli tanks, I would just get the Makava. Because, well, it's just only $5 for 2 extra ranks. The VOW-2N, well, I'm not even gonna cover this. It's just absolute horseshitly bad. It's terrible. Don't actually fly this thing out. I don't recommend it. The Dassault Milan, I mean, we all know I absolutely loathe this thing. The thing is, it's actually, not as a fighter, as a bomb sled, it's actually pretty good. And you will get very consistent RP with it. And right now, as the Mirage 2000 is still rank 7, sorry. You can actually fly this thing out and grind it right now, because we will have the Mirage 2000 at rank 8 eventually. So right now you can save some money, buy the Dassault Milan, and you have to start bombing bases. It's very boring. And most of you guys that actually watch my channel are probably not really looking for that kind of gameplay. But if you look for a bomb sled with some consistent RP, this is a very good pickup. The thing is, it's just an absolute pain in the ass to fly. It's not very fun. And I mean, you've seen the video, I think. The Milan video on my channel is pretty well known, let's put it that way. It's an absolute pain in the ass to fly. The Type 96 prototype, I mean, is it any good? It's okay. It's basically the same as the terms. It's the side armor is just, it's just non-existent. The A10, I mean, between this and the F5C, I would say, if you fly more ground RB, you can definitely get the A10. If you fly more air RB and you want more of a multi-role fighter, then the F5C is a much better pick. So if you like ground pounding, if you're simply looking to strafe some ground units and you want to get the F14, for example, this thing is great. But keep in mind that the F14 will probably eventually go to rank 8 as well. Well, not probably, I'm pretty sure it will. And if you then haven't grinded the entire thing out, you kind of, well, you kind of waste your money with that, because now you have to buy something else, a talisman or another premium, to actually grind out the F14, because it's rank 8 now, and this thing is only rank 6. The Terms 3, it's a glass cannon, it's a pretty decent gun, it's decently mobile, and the 30mm is okay. I mean, it's a glass cannon. If you're not very familiar with the game, I don't recommend it. The Challenger DS, I would say, yeah, I would skip it. I wouldn't take it, and I mean, in my personal experience, I don't think the British tanks are that great anyway. But it's not bad, but I just don't recommend it. I think there are much better picks, like something like the Roycat, that you can definitely fly out, that you can definitely drive out a little bit more consistently. The Z19, it's okay. If you like to shoot planes with your missiles, be my guest. I mean, I'm not too familiar with helicopters. I really cannot give you too much of an opinion on these. The Leopard 2A4, it's a Leopard 2A4. We already have the exact same thing in the game already. It's definitely pretty decent, but I'm not a big fan of these. I think they're okay. The camo netting looks cool, I guess, but it's very strong, and it's more survivable than most of the premiums at this BR. But I mean, yeah, I'm not a big fan of this thing. I've not used the premium one, I've only used the Tech 3 one, but they are the exact same vehicle, other than the camo netting. I guess I don't have to put as many bushes on this thing. The Lightning F53, this thing is absolute garbage. I don't recommend you to take it out. I don't even need to elaborate on it. It just has basically nothing going for it. It doesn't even have CCIP or like a rocket computer. You have to fire everything manually, which is kind of shitty. The VRCC, it's a very good tank, very mobile, good gun. I mean, it's a wheeled vehicle with a good gun. I don't really need to explain too much on that one. Very good pickup if you are into these kind of vehicles. The Su-25, I don't think it's the best, but in terms of a grinder, very solid, very good acceleration, decent top speed, 2 R60Ms, and of course you can ground pound pretty long. The gun is also very good, and you will be able to get a lot of RP very quickly out of this one. Then we have these 2 helicopters, and I really just can't tell you. You'll have to ask someone in the comments below. I'm sorry if I missed out on a lot of things. I probably fucked up some things in general. I need to go back to bed basically, but I wanted to get this out. There are some things that I do want to cover real quick. And that's with these, because I heard someone yesterday say that the Mirage F1C is one of the best premiums that you can buy, which is a complete lie. Do not pick this thing up right now. It's on sale, maybe it's okay in terms of a grinder, because you do get Magic 2s. I will make a video on this thing as soon as I'm not as sick as I am right now, because I'm barely able to stay awake. But this thing, it's just very bad. It has basically nothing going for it other than the good IR missiles, and even for air to ground, I don't think it's that fantastic either. So please don't pick this thing up right now. It's not worth 70 bucks. Most of these aren't. The only one I would say is probably the MiG-23 ML, as well as the Saab on J35 XS. These other 3 or other 6 or whatever, I wouldn't pick up at all, at least not currently. So hope it was helpful. I'm going back to bed, and I'll see you all in the next one.